Salwe, we are continuing with line 571 here to 576, and Aeneas has just spied from his vantage point on top of the palace roof. He has spied Helen, and the fires around Troy gave light to him, and he was able to see her hiding in the temple of Vesta. And this is his reaction to seeing Helen now, these next lines. Illa si binfestos se versob pergamatucros et Danaum poen et deserti coniugis iras, praemetuens Troiet patriae communis erinis, abdiderat cessat quaris in visa sedebat, exarcerignes animo subit ira cadentem, ulcisci patriet scelerata sumere poenas. Well, it's not exactly his reaction yet, but he's going to describe how Helen is behaving here. So, illa, she, that is the subject. It is nominative, singular, feminine, and it is meaning Helen, she. Praemetuans, this is a participle that goes with illa. She, fearing, and then sibi, for herself. And what was she fearing for herself? Sibi is a dative, so we'll go ahead and mark it with pink. Fearing for herself, she was fearing several things here. Infestos teucros. She was fearing the hostile Teucrians. Teucrians are the Trojans. Technically, they're on her side. She is Helen of Troy. But now that Troy has been overturned, they could be hostile to Helen because they're upset at her for having caused the ruin of their city. And Vergil tells us this right here. Abe versa Pergama, on account, this all goes together, of the overturned Pergama. Okay, so this is a nice chiasmus here. We got A, B, B, A, on account of overturned Pergama. Now, it is a plural, neuter plural, but it's poetic. There's not more than one Pergama. Pergama, right, is another name for Troy. So she was fearing for herself the hostile Teucrians on account of Pergama having been overturned, or overturned Pergama. And she was fearing the Danaum poenam, the punishment, Danaum, which is, hopefully you caught that, Danaorum, the punishment of the Danaans, I'll just finish this off, and the iras, that's also accusative, conjugis deserti, of her deserted husband, which is Menelaus. So Helen's got a lot of enemies now, right? She has the Trojans who had been defending their city, and now it's been overturned, and she's the cause. Also, the punishment of the Greeks, the Danaans, because she left her husband, and that was very dishonorable. So she's not on their side either. And the angers of her deserted husband. She got to settle up with Menelaus finally, who she left for Paris. That's not going to be pretty. So we've got three things that she is fearful of. Also, Troiet patriae communis erinis abdiderat, cessat quaris in visa sedebat. Moving along with the sentence now, we have communis, let me get my pen, communis erinis, the common curse. And this is in apposition to illa, so I got a double underline, it's the subject. Common curse. She, fearing all these things, she, the common curse. Erinus is it's, I believe, a deity that means curse. I don't know a lot about this deity in particular, but because it's capitalized. I'm assuming it is that, and far capitalizes the English too. You can investigate it more if you like, but just common curse is good for our purposes here. She's a common curse of Troiae et Patriae, genitives of both, doesn't say both, but of Troy and her own homeland, because she left her husband Menelaus, so she's a curse of her homeland, and now she's a curse of Troy because Troy has been taken because of her. So she, the common curse of Troy and her, that's my daughter, she's waking up a little bit, and her homeland, abdiderat sese, had hidden, this is a pluperfect here, had hidden, because she did it earlier, sese, herself. Se is just a longer form of se. It means the same exact thing. And I think Vergil uses it sometimes to fit the meter if se doesn't fit. So, abdiderat sese, she has hid herself away in this temple, and she was sitting there hated in Wissa. Okay, I'll keep going here as long as I can. My daughter keeps waking up some. In Wissa, hated, she was sitting in this temple in Aris, and Aris is an ablative, so at the altars or in the altars, you need to have an in there. So one more time. She, Helen, fearing for herself the hostile Teucrians or Trojans on account of overturned Troy and the punishment of the Greeks and the angers of her deserted husband, she, the common curse of Troy and her own homeland, had hidden herself away and was sitting there in the temple, meaning in Aris, at the altars, hated. Ex arser ignes animo subit ira cadentem ulcisci patriet sceleratas sumere poenas. The fires, exarcere, burned. Now this is exarcererunt. Exarcerunt. It's a perfect. Third person plural. The fires, ignes, burned, in animo. You got an ablative here, in animo. And what's he talking about? He means the passions, his anger to avenge Helen burned in his heart. Not physical fires, but rage. Vergil often compares rage in the heart to fire. Subit ira cadentem. Anger rises up. And this is, you remember, we had the word subit earlier when the image of his father rose up before him. So anger rises up. To ulkiski, to avenge. This is a deponent verb, ulkiskor. And anger is rising up in Aeneas to avenge what? The cadentem patriam. Those go together. The fallen homeland, fallen Troy. And finally, and to sumere, to exact. Sumere means to pick up or to take. In this sense, I would use exact. Sceleratas poenas, and you'll see why. To exact. What this means is to exact punishments for her crime, but it literally says to exact crimeful punishments, or another editor said sin-stained punishments. The idea that Helen has done some very bad stuff here, and Aeneas wants to exact, wants to take revenge or avenge his fallen homeland and exact the punishments for the crime. So this is a adjective that really makes poenas pop out as being, these are punishments for a very bad crime because it's cost a whole city many, many lives. These are sinned, stained punishments. So let's just do that final sentence one more time. The fires burned in my heart. Anger rises up to avenge the fallen fatherland and to exact sin-stained punishments or criminal punishments punishments for the crime of Helen. Wale.